Alright, it's finally here. Day 30 of the 30 Days of Silent Hill Challenge. And today's topic is, well, it might be a long video again today. Because it's why you love Silent Hill. Short answer, because it's a great series with great relatable main characters and storylines you can really get into. And it really pulls you into the atmosphere. Long explanation. Let's break it down. Okay, first, the whole mythos of the town is astounding to me. Through Silent Hill 1, it is established that this resort destination holiday place, Silent Hill, has a dark past. And not only does it have a dark past, it has a dark cult living in it. Now, this cult believes in doing things so severe as sacrificing children, keeping them alive in pain, to make manifest their god, which is in all likelihood probably a demon. Probably a demon of higher power. Don't think of one from like an anime or anything, but think of one of the ruling class of demon that, you don't fuck around with. Unless you have the holiest weapon available. So that's going on. Now, at the same time, you have these people that are drawn to the town that have these own personal problems. Not so much in game one, because as we know, Harry's daughter was one of the scions of this cult. It needed to be reunited with the other half of Alessa to spawn the demon, which you end up killing in the end. Sorry for the spoilers. Now, that's all well and good if that was the only tale of Silent Hill, and you just leave from there. But in 2, we come back, 2 being my favorite, as it is many people's, with the protagonist, James Sunderland. As I mentioned in the last video, it's more of a personal journey than it is of one of an external cause. I always believe that the character knew Mary was dead in his mind, but this is all just some sort of weird purgatory that he's placed himself in. He doesn't want to be able to get away with it. He wants to suffer for it. And that's what Pyramid Head's there for. And all the other monsters and the trials and tribulations. Yet at the same time, he's trying to remember the good side of it. And that's how Maria's put into play. And, just all the thing. And Laura might be the desire to have a child that he never had. Or a friend. Maybe it was an actual friend of Mary's that died, things like that. And I don't know really what I would put as Eddie, but Eddie just might be sort of almost the everyman that, bad shit's happened to him and he's reacting in a bad way. That he had clearly had 2 choices, but he ended up committing murder, and then eventually you had to dispatch him when he thought you were turning on him as well. So there's a little morality to be had in the titles. As with the other ones, certainly. But, And then in 3, you have Heather, Harry's daughter from the first one, coming back, taking care of business, destroying basically what I always thought of as like the remnants of that cult. Because I've played 1 through 3, and I kind of like to end it there, I'm not really too anxious to pick up the other titles because I think it makes a perfect wrapping story, because you have these things connecting back to the first title and all that good stuff. However, that's just me, whatever. It's obviously not the situation. But you have the daughter coming back and doing all the things she needed to do and atoning for the cult's murder of her father. He died protecting her, Well, in a way, he didn't divulge her location, so that would be protecting it, as far as I'm concerned. All these things are going on in this town, and yet nothing's being done. There's no real police investigate. I mean, you have a few, but there's no real police thing going on. There's no, which is another thing I love about the series. It's unsettling how much you don't know. Now, think of a great movie. A great movie can get away with leaving some things to your imagination And a lot of good ones do. I think of things like Pulp Fiction and stuff, where you're left to kind of put it together yourself in your mind of like not only the events in the film, but the character relationships and stuff. I mean, some are clearly defined, but the other ones you have to be like, I wonder what's going on there. I mean, I'm a huge movie fan, so I really read into things like that. But it's there to be done, you know? And you you don't get that luxury of knowledge with the Silent Hill series. You don't know what's happening next. What you do know is not going to happen is it's not going to go to like these cheesy internet things like a jump scare. I mean, something scary might appear, but you have to be expecting it. You have to fear the unknown, and that's the real that gets me to the atmosphere of the game. It is the best horror movie turned into a video game that ever existed. It's I think if the Blair Witch movie were to take place in a town and it wasn't running on just that gimmick of found footage and it was actual, actually had production credits to it, I think it could be something like Silent Hill, where what's scarier is what you don't see. What's scarier is the anticipation. I've played a lot of games where I don't, when I'm walking through the dark forest at night with no music around, that's the scary part. The scary part is not seeing the giant monster that's out there to kill me. Because when I know where it is, I know it's not right behind me. I don't have to turn around and hope it's not there. And I'm getting chills slightly while saying this because it's 4:31 in the morning. And I love, like I said, I love movies like that. I love that kind of horror, so. And that's another reason why I love it, the game series. Because fear is one of those things that you always will feel. I know people who say, I don't know people, but I know that there are people who say, well, I'm not afraid of anything. And I think that's a complete and total lie. You need fear, obviously, to exist. I'm not going to go into that whole psychological explanation of why it's the lead factor in keeping us alive, but it is, But fear is one of those things that you always feel. If you're depressed, if you suffer from depression, you might not know if you can feel quote unquote happiness, but you can feel fear because everyone uses fear to stay alive, as I just said. Now, thinking of this, they took that and they put it into the game in the best way. Like I was talking about with the atmosphere of it, you don't know what's there. So you're afraid while you're walking down the misty streets and building, like outside buildings. That's another good thing I did. I love that there's always fog. To obscure one's vision is to scare somebody, and it all is a progression. Like I just said, not but 30 seconds ago. The fear goes into the atmosphere, which goes into the ability to tell the story in the way they want to tell it. And the best thing about the story, and this is probably the point I'm gonna end on, but the characters are very relatable. As I explained at the beginning of the video, you have characters that are looking for their daughter, or atoning for themselves, or just happen to stop by at the wrong place at the wrong time, or they're a police officer, or they're the daughter of a man who was looking for his daughter and ended up, Silent Hill 3. But these are people that you feel for because they don't have superpowers, save for maybe Heather, depending on how you want to view that, with the transform costume that I talked about earlier. But that's bonus stuff, so that doesn't count. I mean, you can be killed. You're a human. That's why Batman's so great. He can be killed. He's a human. It's your character is just as vulnerable as you are, if not more so, because you have the luxury of playing it from a screen, while their consciousness, if you want to call it that, is in the game. They can't escape. You can turn it off and leave. but it's there. It's like that old show Reboot. Now I'm really dating myself with that. That's an old cartoon show, but the computer characters in there were the living beings of like stuff that would be played in the games and whatnot. I mean, it's a bit convoluted the way I'm describing it, but it fits my point. In that, what if when you turn your game off, the game doesn't turn off, but these characters are still there, still in Silent Hill, just waiting? Obviously, that's not how it is. We know how electronics work. But what if? And that's why I love Silent Hill. It's always the what if. As I said, you're never sure of anything. It's a scary atmosphere with relatable characters who you want to survive or at least want to get to the end of their personal struggle and journey. In a resort town that's controlled by evil cults. Something very possible and very scary. While adding in the monsters that it's better to run away from than to fight. So you're keeping like grounded in reality a bit with that. All these things added together to make the best survival horror franchise in the world. Fuck like Resident Evil and stuff, where you get bullets. You might only have a box of bullets the whole time in the game for your best gun, and you need to know when to use them and when to not. You need to keep a cool head while you go through this hellhole, which very often reverts between a reality you know and one that you don't. You need to stay calm through that and finish the story. And then, and only then when you're done and you're watching the credits roll, can you say to yourself, I survived. I survived Silent Hill. I survived the 30 Days of Silent Hill challenge. Thanks for sticking with me. I love that I've got people who have seen all of these. This has been a real pleasure to do. Expect more videos from me in the future, obviously. I love making these. And thanks again. That was 30 Days of Silent Hill. And this is the end of a 12-minute video. Thanks for hanging around, guys. I'll see you in the future.